Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I am your instructor, Richard Rost. In today's video, we're going to talk about using your Microsoft Access database with file sharing services like OneDrive, Google Drive, or Dropbox. And as you can tell from the image on your screen right now, it's no bueno. Today's question comes from Leslie in Twin Falls, Idaho, one of my Platinum members. However, this is one of those things that comes up in my forums, and I get asked this in emails at least once or twice a week. Leslie says, in your previous videos, you say not to run Microsoft Access on any file sharing services. I've been using Google Drive to host my Access database for years without any problems. Granted, there's only my secretary and I using the database, but it's a good solution for us, and we haven't run into any problems. Why are you so against it? Well, Leslie, if it works for you, great. But if you've watched any of my previous videos on sharing your Access database online, you'll know that I'm completely against it. Now, it'll work fine for you as a single user, or maybe you and one other user if you guys don't use it simultaneously. But Access is simply not designed to run on a file sharing service. And OneDrive does not know how to properly handle Access updates. Now, I'll use OneDrive for all my examples in this video, but all the file sharing services work pretty much the same way. And like I always tell all my users, OneDrive will work just fine until it doesn't. And then your database can corrupt, you could be missing information, or it could be completely unreadable. Now, if you are the only user working on the database, and your database file is relatively small, and you have good internet, and you want to be able to copy the database back and forth between, say, your home and your office, that's okay. I recommend you don't run the database out of your shared folder, though. Copy it down to your local PC, use it there, then when you're done, copy it back up. For a brief period of time, I actually had an office, and I wanted to work both at home and at the office without having to lug my laptop back and forth. So I kept all my files, including my Access database, in a shared Google Drive folder. When I left the office, I had a half-an-hour drive home, and that was plenty of time for the files to sync up. But again, I was the only user, so this solution worked okay for me. Now, OneDrive and other file sharing services are file-based. That means when you make a change to the file and you save it, the entire file gets copied up to the server, and then those changes get disseminated back down to any other users who also have that folder synced. This works okay for small files, most Word documents, Excel workbooks, and so on, but not with big Access databases. So here I've got a setup with OneDrive and 3 users. All right, in that folder is a Word document, let's say relatively small. Most of my Word documents are 1, 2 megs, right? Not that big. And when OneDrive or Google Drive syncs up, each user gets a copy of that file in their local folder. If one user makes a change to that file, OneDrive now has to copy that file up to the server. That file is now replaced on the server in the shared folder, and then it has to get copied back down to the other users. Provided that no one else is also working on that file, everyone is now synchronized. However, if one user tries to make a change to that file, and another user also tries to make a change to the same file before all the copies are synchronized, you now end up with data collisions. OneDrive won't know what to do, and you'll get a warning that there are now 2 copies of the files. This behavior, of course, is catastrophic for an Access database. If you change just one record in your database, the entire ACCDB file has to be synced up with the web server. And it doesn't matter if you've got a split database, front-end, back-end solutions, or it's all one database file. The whole thing has to get copied. If your database is even moderately sized, that will take a while. Now, I've got pretty fast internet with a 10 megabit per second upload speed. That means a tiny 50 megabyte database file, and that's tiny, could take up to 2 minutes to upload to the server. If another user changes a record while that file is transferring, now her system is going to need to sync up that file too, but she hasn't even gotten your update yet. See what I'm saying? See the problem here? Additionally, Access uses a proprietary file format to store as much information as possible in as small of a space as possible. It's a dense binary file, and other applications like OneDrive are not designed to work with these types of files. They won't update just what's changed. They have to update the entire ACCDB file. When Access reads a record from disk into memory, it doesn't read the whole file, just a tiny piece of it. Likewise, the same thing happens when it writes data back out. It only works with a tiny piece of that file. So OneDrive has to update the entire file every time you make even the smallest change. And again, if you got multiple simultaneous users working with the database, you will get conflicting copies. Now, database servers like SQL Server or even SharePoint are able to transmit just the records that need to be edited over the wire. Access doesn't work like that. Plus, it's not just that one customer record that's changing. Many other parts of the database file may have to be updated too, including indexes. Even if you're only reading records, not editing or adding, just reading, when you open a database file, there's stuff that Access might have to write to the database file. Sometimes even just opening and running a query, a select query, not even an update query, it might have to write temporary data to the ACCDB file to handle that query. Plus, if you have, let's say, VBA code that isn't compiled yet, it will compile when you execute it, and that's written to the file. So there's a lot going on in the background, even if you're only reading data from an Access database file. Now, people like to argue this with me all the time, but this is just my opinion. I've only been working with Access since 1994, so about 30 years now. So what do I know? But don't take just my word for it. Here are some quotes from other Access MVPs and from the Microsoft website itself. I've included links to pages where these quotes are from, and you can see the replies of dozens of users saying, well, I set it up this way and it works for me. Yeah, it will, until it doesn't. And then your database corrupts, and then you complain because you didn't have a good backup. Daniel Pinot, sharing an Access database in this manner is highly ill-advised. Scott Diamond, no, you cannot store an Access database in OneDrive. Don't even try. The only way something like that will work is if you can check out the file, work on it locally, while all the other users are blocked out, and then check it back in. If you're going to use it with other users, move it, right? Literally, move it from your shared drive to your desktop, work on it there. The file should relatively quickly disappear from the shared drive and no one else will see it. And then when you're done, move it back up. In short, don't do it. The short and simple answer is do not do that. As you can see, they're pretty emphatic about it. You can store the file on Dropbox, yes. However, there is a risk if you all intend to work with that same relational database application sequentially. This means that MS Access typically will not run across a WAN. This one's an excellent technical article. By the way, you'll find links to all these down below in the description you can click on. When you're running Access over a file sharing service, you're technically running over a WAN, a wide area network. And while internet speeds have come up a lot since this article was written, they're still not fast enough for running Access. And of course, this one comes straight from the horse's mouth. This is from Microsoft support on their website. And if you don't believe them, who will you believe? Warning, although you can save an Access database file to OneDrive, and they also mention a SharePoint document library, which is different than using SharePoint as a server. We recommend that you avoid opening an Access database from these locations. The file may be downloaded locally for editing and then uploaded again once you save your changes. If more than one person opens the Access database, multiple copies of the database may get created and some unexpected behaviors may occur. That's their polite way of saying your database is going to get horked. This recommendation applies to all types of Access files, including a single database, a split database, and all the different file formats. So yeah, Microsoft themselves says, don't do it. And finally, one more quote again from Daniel Pinot. He wrote an excellent article for Developers Hut titled Access Backend Location, WAN, Online Server, OneDrive, Dropbox. And his final word is, now some people will tell you they've never ran into any problems running their Access database with OneDrive. It may very well work for months without issue and then suddenly completely corrupt your database beyond repair. It simply may not work at all. I cannot tell you as each setup is different. What I will tell you is the above information is based on years of experience and it's considered best practices by Access MVPs. Yeah, it is. What I will also highly advise you is that if you're going to go against the advice provided above and run your database over a WAN, shared drive, online server, etc., then please be sure to have a very robust and frequent backup system in place to be able to recover from corruption easily. What do I always say? Back up your data. All right, especially if you're going to try running this over OneDrive or Google Drive or Dropbox. Back up your data. More than nightly. Every time you make major changes, back up your data. Okay, so if my advice and the advice of 6 other MVPs and Microsoft themselves still isn't enough to convince you, let me show you one problem that you'll have if you try doing this. Okay, here I've got a copy of my Tech Help database set up in a Google Drive synced folder, right? Google Drive, My Drive, shared database folder. And as you can see, this is a relatively small database, only a little bit over a megabyte, okay? Okay, and here I am connected into that same folder on a different computer here in my office. I'm using Chrome Remote Desktop, so you can see both these at the same time. Same file, right? Same exact file, synced between 2 different Google Drive folder shares on 2 different machines. All right, so let me come back over here to my workstation. Let me open up the database. Okay, nice small database. You've probably seen this before in a million of my videos. Let me open up the customer form. Let me make a change here. All right, I'm working on this. I changed this to Rick Rost, and I close this. Meanwhile, my associate's working on the other machine. Let's call him Mr. Spock, and he opens up the database. All right, goes to the customer form. And first of all, he still sees Richard in here. Why? Because my database hasn't been saved yet. It's still open, so it hasn't synced up to the cloud yet. So I don't have that update here. Okay, I still see Richard Rost or whatever other changes I made. And let's go to a different record here. Let's change James Kirk to Jim Kirk. Okay, and now I'm done. And now let's say Mr. Spock closes his database. He's done for the day. All right. Back over to my PC. And I'll open up my customer form again. I'm still Rick Rost. I don't see his change from James to Jim. And now I close my database. Okay, I'm going to give it a minute so that Google can do its magic and sync in the background. This file is only about a meg in size, so it shouldn't take that long. All right, next day I come into work. I open up my database. Let's see what I got in here. All right, open it up. Okay, there's my Rick Rost, and it's still James Kirk. That change didn't come into play. All right, let me close that. Let's go over to Mr. Spock's machine, open his up, and let's see what we got here. Okay, and now he's got Rick Rost because mine updated last, but notice his change is completely gone. Any changes he made to his database just got wiped. Okay? But it could go the other way too. Let's say, for example, that I open up my database. Okay, and I change this guy to Dick Rost, let's say. All right, close it. At the same time, Mr. Spock's in here. All right, and Mr. Spock changes, let's say, Deanna Troy to just D. Okay. But Spock's still working, and while Spock's working, I close my database. And Spock's still working. He comes in here, and he just changes this to JL Picard. Okay, and now he's done, so he closes his database last. We'll wait a few minutes, let Google sync up. All right, again, next day I come in here, open my database up. And let's take a look here. And, oh, wait a minute. What happened to my change? I changed mine to Dick Rost, and I'm back to Rick. You see, Mr. Spock's changes happened last, so he overwrote my changes. That's the problem with people using this simultaneously at the same time. That's redundant, but you get it, right? All right. Now, this is just the best case scenario. The best case scenario is you're missing updates from each other. The worst case scenario is your file gets completely corrupted. I've seen it happen, especially with larger files. This is a teeny tiny file, so Google can easily pass up and down a 1.5 meg file. You start dealing with a moderately sized 300 megabyte file, not only does it take a while, but there's a chance that that file becomes corrupt. So I hope this video has educated you a little bit in how Access database files work and why you should not use them with file sharing services. While it's okay to copy the file, use it locally, copy it back up, multiple simultaneous users should not be using a file sharing service to share an Access database. Now, what solutions are available if you do want to share your database online with multiple users? There are several different options available. I have a whole separate video you can watch just on how to share your Microsoft Access database online. You've got SharePoint, you've got SQL Server, there's Remote Desktop, and my new personal favorite, Access Database Cloud. Again, this page on my website will explain everything in more detail. I'll put a link to this down below that you can click on if you want more information. Now, while you can share a database file as long as you only use it one at a time, sometimes it's difficult to know when someone's using the database or not. You can look for the LACCDB file, the lock file. However, if everyone's not an Access expert, then they might not know to do that. So, what we will do in the extended cut for the members is I will show you how to build a little mini checkout database. What this is it's a database you run before you open your main database. It will check to see if the database is in use. If it is, it says, sorry, database is in use, can't use it right now. And if it's available, it'll tell you, okay, you can use it. Then when you click the button to open the database, it will mark it in use so no other users can use it while you're working with it. And then when you're done, you simply check it back out again. All right, and that's going to be covered in the extended cut for the members. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut videos, and there's lots of them now. There's like 250 of them, so there's tons and tons of videos for you to watch. And gold members get access to download these files and my code vault. How do you become a member? Click on the join button below the video. After you click the join button, you'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks. Silver members and up will get access to all of my extended cut tech help videos, one free beginner class each month, and more. Gold members get access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my tech help videos, plus my code vault, where I keep tons of different functions that I use. You'll also get a higher priority if you decide to submit any tech help questions to me, and you'll get one free expert class each month after you finish the beginner series. Platinum members get all the previous perks, plus even higher priority for tech help questions, access to all of my full beginner courses for every subject, and one free developer class each month after you finish the expert classes. These are the full-length courses found on my website, not just for Access too. I also teach Word, Excel, Visual Basic, and lots more. You can now become a Diamond sponsor and have your name or company name listed on a sponsors page that will be shown in each video as long as you're a sponsor. You'll get a shout out in the video and a link to your website or product in the text below the video and on my website. But don't worry, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and post any comments you may have. I do try to read and answer all of them as soon as I can. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free, and click on the bell icon to select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Make sure you click the Show More link down below the video to find additional resources and links. You'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted, so if you'd like to get an email every time I post a video, click on the link to join my mailing list. Even if you don't want to become a member, feel free to donate to my tip jar. Your patronage is greatly appreciated and will help keep these free videos coming. I got puppies to feed. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access. It's over 4 hours long, and I just updated it for 2021. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below that you can click on. And also, if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1. Yep, that's all, $1, and it's free for all members of my YouTube channel at any level, even supporters. Want to have your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my Tech Help page on my website. You can send me your question there. While you're on my site, feel free to stop by the Access Forum. Lots of good conversations happening there. Be sure to follow my blog, find me on Twitter, and of course, YouTube. Once again, my name is Richard Ross. Thank you for watching this Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something today. I'll see you again soon.